What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Talk the Ring Show. If you're new here, then you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button so you're not missing a thing. Guys, we are in a fantastic mood because tomorrow's our birthday. We celebrate, we partying. I know earlier we didn't get to have our episode, which is okay because I'm gonna rebook for her to come on. I know I was excited, but it's all right. But I'm more excited for tonight's episode. So let's give a warm welcome to Robby Vegas. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So I always hop right into it with who or what got you into wrestling.
Oh man, that's an easy one for me. Shawn Michaels. Growing up watching Shawn, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to become a wrestler, especially when I watched WrestleMania 12. The Iron Man match was such a big deal at that time between Shawn and Bret, and watching him win the big one for the first time was just such a monumental moment. And I think there was just no looking back for me after that.
No, for sure. Because I can honestly say you look like the Indies Shawn Michael, which is a good thing. That's a good thing. I don't mean that in a bad way.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Any kind of comparison to a legend and a Hall of Famer like Shawn is something that I'm never going to scoff at. So
No, for sure. So, who trains you or trained you?
well, when I originally got started, my trainer was Brian Jennings, the Buffalo Bad Boy, and his trainer was the legendary Les Thatcher. And Brian was trained in a very legendary group of guys. LA Knight being in that class, and the Blade being in that class. And so I found Brian, and we still do shows together to this day. And now myself, I am a trainer now. So that kind of came full circle almost 13 years ago.
I love that. So, with that being said, are you, if people don't know, are you a heel or are you a face?
Depends on where I am. But for the most part, right now, I usually am a face.
Do you prefer being a face over a heel, or do you like one over the other?
Honestly, I prefer being a heel. I just don't get booked that way very much anymore, but that's all right. But no, I don't. I guess in the grand scheme of things, as long as I'm doing this, it doesn't really matter which role I'm playing.
Okay. So, I mean, personally, I say it on here all the time. Whoever I have on, I'm like, you're definitely a face, or you're definitely like a heel, or like what you look like. I think you just look like a face. So maybe that's why they be booking you as a face. But
It could be, yeah, it very well could be. I just sometime over the last I don't know 4 or 5 years, they just decided that I was universally just going to be a face, and I've been that way since. So.
Okay. So, what would you say is like your overall favorite thing about wrestling?
It's an adrenaline rush for me, but I love the storytelling of professional wrestling. I think when it really comes down to it, what we do is it's art, and it's aggressive art, and it's violent art, but it's still art. And you get a locker room full of alpha males and females, and everybody wants to be on top, but there's a story to be told. So it doesn't just come down to who's the roughest and toughest. It's who can engage the audience, and I think that it gets my creative juices flowing, because that's ultimately what I am as an entertainer. That's why I'm a musician and a podcast host and a professional wrestler, because I just like the entertainment aspect.
No, for sure. So, coming from, obviously your style, I guess you could say your character in wrestling, does that resemble the real life you because of the similar stuff?
100%. I always tell people that I don't really have a character. I don't have a gimmick, because Rockstar Robby Vegas is just me turned all the way up. I've been a musician my entire life, and I love rock and roll, and I still love rock and roll, and I still write and release music, and when it came time to adjust in the pro wrestling world, it kind of just hit me like, why am I not just being myself? So the way that I dress and the way that I look is the way that I dress and the way that I look every day.
So it just works. I mean, a
Mhm.
lot of times people have a whole different character. And I'm like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you just flip that switch and be like you can meet them outside, a regular person, be the sweetest person ever, and then they'll go in the ring and they'll be a complete how
Oh
do you
yeah. Yeah, 100%, and that's fine, and that's all well and good if you can do that. I just choose to just be me, but again, I
Yeah.
amp it up. You know, it's a little more arrogant, a little more flamboyant, but still me.
No, yeah, I get it. So then on the opposite side, what would you say is like the hardest part about wrestling for you?
Well, longevity, staying relevant for the last almost 13 years, and staying in shape because there's ebbs and flows in your life, and you can't always be at the top of your game, especially not for the straight 13 years. I think staying relevant, finding ways to still have banger matches 10, 20 years down the road, that's going to be the most difficult part. But again, you're in the gym all the time, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to look your best all the time. And as a wrestler and an entertainer, you get in your head about stuff like that. So I think that's the toughest part.
No, for sure. I mean, I have friends and like they always hit in the gym. Like, obviously, I have my wrestling friends. I have friends in general. They're like, they're always training. They're always at the gym. I'm like, I give it to you because I don't know if I like a lot of them that go early in the morning too. I'm like, I don't know if I could like wake up and be like, yeah, I'm going to the gym. It'll take me a few hours before I can even get that courage to get out of my bed. But I think you guys,
Yeah, I mean, it's not always the easiest. There's definitely days when you're beat up. You had a weekend full of matches, and
yeah.
you're bruised up, and you're working through some minor injuries. But there's always the next match to get ready for. So that's kind of like the driving reason for wrestlers, anyway, to get up and go.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So dad is in the chat and he's chanting your name because he's one of our hype man in here. So, there's that.
Well,
Um,
that's fine. I
so
appreciate it.
no, of course. So overall, if you had to choose, it doesn't matter like WWE or AEW, if you could
Mhm.
have a dream match, other than Shawn Michaels, if you could have a
Okay.
dream match against anyone else, who would you want to have a match against?
I think right now there's a toss up between two guys that I would equally like to step in the ring with. First one being Dolph Ziggler. I think that I could have an incredible match against Dolph Ziggler, and I would love the opportunity to do so. And the other being Edge, Adam Copeland. I would love to get in the ring with Edge and have anything with him before he decides to hang it up for good.
Okay, okay, I see. It was a little like lagged out for me. That's why I'm so sorry. But okay, so now speaking on like an indies level, if you could
Mhm.
face anyone, who would you want to face?
Oh, let's see. Who haven't I faced yet on the indies? Sean Carr comes to mind. I'd love to step in the ring with Sean. We haven't touched in a match ever. No kind of rumble, tag, nothing. So that one's always at the top of my list. Kevin Bennett comes to mind. He's been on fire in the indies for a very long time, and I have not been able to step in the ring with Kevin on any level either. And let's see. Cristiano Argento comes to mind, native of Pittsburgh, but originally from Italy. Um, would love to mix it up with him. And I think those would probably be my top three right now.
All right, all right. I mean, Sean Carr, he is one. He definitely I know him as a face and I know him as a heel, but, like,
Mhm.
only ever seen him as a face, and, like, one day I was sponsoring him at one of the shows up in, like, my area, and he comes out full heel. I was like, "Whoa, whoa, take that back. I'm here sponsoring you. You wanna have go back there and fix yourself. Then we'll talk." But
Love that guy.
he does amazing at what he does, but sometimes he pulls the heel card on one different day. He goes nuts. But it's fine. So how do you feel about like hardcore death style like wrestling?
Um, I don't mind the occasional hardcore match. I've done my fair share of ladder matches, dog collar matches, no holds barred. I just did that a couple days ago again. Tables matches. I've checked all those boxes. So if it makes sense and you can have a good match out of it, then absolutely. I I personally won't do death matches. That doesn't mean I don't respect people that are willing to do that because they're definitely destroying their bodies and for the sake of other people's entertainment. That's just not something that I'm willing to do. But
Yeah.
I definitely have a couple friends who dabble in the death matches or are death match wrestlers, and I support them.
No, hey, I support them too. But if they bleed in, they gonna stay over there. They ain't gonna come near me.
That's pretty much the way I look at it too. I don't really, in wrestling, sometimes you can't help but you got to get your opponent's blood on you depending on the
I mean
situation. But in a death match, though, it's a guarantee.
yeah, I'm not I would never put myself in a death match.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't put myself in an overall match, but that's where you can have that spotlight. I ain't gonna take it from you, but I'm alright. So it's become a more popular thing now, the whole intergender thing. How do you feel about intergender wrestling?
I recently had an intergender tag team match. It was fine. Um, it's not my favorite thing to do. It's not my favorite thing to watch, but I would never tell people that, it's a bad thing or that they shouldn't do it or watch it. That's for sure. It can be difficult depending on who you're in there with. But overall, I don't really see a giant issue with it.
No, for sure, for sure. Okay, so now out of all the places you have wrestled already, if you
Mm,
could choose one spot, it doesn't have to specifically be the company, but if
mhm.
you could go back to any place and be like, I really like this place and I'll wrestle here any opportunity I get, which one would it be?
That's a great question. I mean, right off the top of my head, there's a place not too far from where I'm from, Buffalo River Works, that is just it hosts some amazing matches and some amazing crowds, uh, usually live on IWTV, which is nice, and, just the venue itself is just beautiful, and it draws so many people in, so that comes to mind, but in general, I think that, some of the greatest fans that I've ever worked in front of are in Canada.
I mean, I've never been to Canada, but yeah, seems like
They
that'd be fun.
They're rabid wrestling fans. A lot of shows sell out, and they're just happy to be there, and they're cheering, they're booing, and their intensity makes it easier for you to click into the zone.
No, for sure. I mean, I think that's the really cool thing now about wrestling because, like, if it was like 5 or so years ago, we didn't have as many, like, wrestling companies as we do now. And
Mhm,
so, like, wrestling's scattered all over the place. Like, I live in Pennsylvania, so I'm always at shows up here, and it's
mhm.
like, okay, the crowds are pretty similar. They're always probably the same people. But then one time I went to Connecticut, I went like this crowd was wild. I was like, I'm crazy for wrestling, but I don't know if I'm that crazy.
Yeah, it's different. You travel around, and not to say, some crowds are better than others, but they kind of are.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
people just kind of sit on their hands and golf clap, and then you get the people that are standing on their chairs and screaming, and those are the ones that it's easier to just click into who you are. And wrestling is definitely a lot different now than when I started. When I started wrestling, there wasn't as many indie companies, there wasn't as many opportunities, and it was harder to get opportunities because I came in right in the in between stages where it wasn't quite the internet era, but it wasn't quite mailing out your 8x10s and VHS tapes looking for
yeah.
bookings either. So we were doing the weird in between, just hoping for a spot.
No, yeah. I mean, so I guess like it's a good thing obviously now because like it also helps like the wrestlers because there's so many different places they can travel to, and a lot of them have that bucket list of like wrestling in all like 50 states. So
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
beneficial. Okay. So now speaking on, if you had to choose WWE or AEW, which one do you think you would pick?
I would, as a lifelong fan, WWE is the choice, for me. I'm not saying that that's a choice for everybody, but, with the amount of extra work that I do for them and how often they brought me in and gave me some TV time and stuff like that, I'm already grateful for the opportunities that they have given me and continue to give me. And, I would love for a chance to have the contract and thank them properly by putting on some, great performances for them. So I would have to say just based on those things alone, that's the way for me to go.
Okay, okay. So now, if let's say a younger fan came up to you at the show and was like, I want to do exactly what you're doing, what
Mhm.
advice would you give them?
I would say sign up at my school.
Well, pretty simple.
That would be the advice I give them. No, but seriously, I would say that, you have to know what you're asking for. You have to know what you're getting into because it's not an easy life. It's very hard on the body, but I think a lot of times people don't talk about how, hard it is on the mind. You have to be willing to sacrifice. You're going to miss events. You're going to miss spending time with your family and your friends. You're going to lose some family and friends along the way. You risk your life every time you hit the road, not just in the ring, but on the road. And, training is extremely difficult, and like we tell our students all the time, like this takes time and sacrifice, and if you aren't willing to give us either one of those things, don't even start.
No, for sure. I mean, I get it because I'm about to turn 17 tomorrow, and everyone's like, Harley, do the wrestling thing, do the wrestling thing. I'm like, I don't like. I'm involved in all these shows. Like, I'm an interviewer. I'm,
Mhm.
like, the commentary, whatever. But like, they want me to actually like become a wrestler. I'm like, you can have it. You can have that spotlight. I'm okay with not having that right now. I got time.
Well, that's
But
true. You do have time. Yeah.
yeah, so you can have that spotlight. I'll be the next gen after you. I'm this gen, but I'll be the next gen. I don't even worry about it. Have fun in that ring because
Right.
I don't want to do it. No, it's fine. So now, if people don't know, do you have merch? And if so, where can they purchase it at?
Yeah, always at shows, I carry, at least one style of T-shirt and, trading cards, 8x10s, necklaces, bracelets, all those kind of things. So you can always find that at shows. I do also have a pro wrestling tees store, so you just go to prowrestlingtees.com, Rockstar Robbie Vegas. Just you could hit it in the search bar or just backslash Rockstar Robbie Vegas, and there's probably like 10 or 11 different T-shirt designs up there, and you can get them in T-shirt, women's fitted, V-necks, long sleeves, whatever you want. Every single design comes in every one of those.
Okay, right. So now, do you have like a specific warm up you do before you come out the curtain?
I do. I say my prayers, text my girlfriend, and hit a bunch of push-ups and stretch.
I love that because I can't manage to do push ups. So see, I love that for all the wrestlers because I can learn your guys' whole like your warm ups, whatever. And
Mhm.
everyone's always like, "Yeah, I do push-ups. I do a whole workout." I'm like, you still go out there and you act like you full of energy. I don't know how you do it,
Yeah.
but
Well, that
that's
gives me my energy, and I always, take a picture of my wrist tape and send it to my girlfriend because I write her name on my wrist.
oh
So,
my god, I love that.
yeah.
But yo, if I had a wrestling boyfriend, I'd be like, oh no, I'm just kidding. I mean, no matter what the case may be, I love that. So
Yeah, I
cool.
mean, it's part of my ritual, and it really does help me, she's probably watching right now, so hi, Rox.
I love that. So if people want to follow you on social media, where can they follow you at?
I'm across the board, Facebook, Instagram, and X or Twitter or whatever the hell it is. It's Robbie_Vegas_official on Instagram, Robbie_Vegas_ on X, and just Robbie Vegas on Facebook. Sometimes I don't always accept friend requests because I never know who's real and who's not anymore, as far as Facebook goes, but you can generally, follow me on the others.
No, absolutely. Okay, so then do you for you do it, you're doing an amazing job. I'm not trying to jinx anything, but do you think when the time comes, do you think it's going to be like an age thing, a mindset thing, or an injury thing that causes you to like retire, call it quits?
I think it's going to come down to just the personal decision to give myself more time to enjoy other things in my life.
Yeah.
Um, I have given a lot to this business and I continue to give a lot. And there's just in the back of your head, you start thinking there's other things I need to have time to do. I can't always be on the road and I can't always be taking bookings um, when there's other things I need to accomplish on a personal level.
Yeah.
So I think I would like to have it not be an injury for sure because or even age because I want to get out with a healthy body and a healthy mind so that I can enjoy the things that I want to enjoy.
No, absolutely. So now every time I ask this, I always feel like, okay, I'm gonna jinx it. I'm gonna be the next college. But out of your time of wrestling, have you had any like major injuries or you've been, you know,
Um,
let's
some more like scares. I've had a few minor concussions, not many, maybe like two, and just the usual bumps and bruises, but a few scares that took some X-rays and MRIs and stuff like that. So knock on wood, it stays that way.
all right. I mean, if anything happens, I will take the blame. I'll be because I jinxed it, I'll take the blame. No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't blame you for asking a question.
Yeah. But if it coincidentally happens, I'm not saying. I'm not saying I would never wish that on anyone, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get it.
So, if people wanted to see you at some upcoming shows, where can they see you at?
Well, let's see. My next show is in Erie, Pennsylvania, wrestling for Pro Wrestling Rampage. I'll be going one on one with Darren Crow. And then I will be, and that's March 9th. And then March 15th, I will be in Niagara Falls, and that will be with Empire State Wrestling. And I will not be announcing that match because it hasn't been announced yet, but I will be there. And then March 23rd, I will be in Lyons, New York, defending my tag team titles at Extreme Wrestling Force with Julio Diamante against CXR.
Oh my god, I hate CXR. Well, I hope now you obviously I was wishing you would win before, but even now, it's a little upper hand on that.
Well, it's going to be a great match, and I am looking forward to it. I've teamed with CXR, but I have never faced CXR, so this is going to be a first.
Wow, I hope nothing but wins on that. So obviously, if you could tag with anyone, who would
Mhm.
other than CXR?
Yeah, of course.
So if you could tag with anyone, who would you want to tag with?
Are we talking all time? Are we talking indie? What are we talking?
All time.
Well, it's got to be Shawn Michaels.
Oh, okay.
Um, my runner up for that would be Dolph Ziggler.
Absolutely. So that on the indie scene?
Let's see, who haven't I teamed with that I want to team with on the indies? I think it would be kind of cool to team with Bill Collier just once. Big time Bill Collier, I think, would be a pretty fun tag team partner.
Okay, all right. I see you. So then lastly, obviously you said you already have a training school, right?
Yes.
So what is like in a normal training day, what
Mhm.
would like training be like?
Really depends on one, the size of the class, and two, if we're more beginners or intermediate people. But generally, it's a 3 hour session. Everybody comes in. We'll do a warm up with a bunch of rolls, jumping in and out of the ring, bumps, things like that. We will break down some match structure and do some drills and trying to work on ring awareness. We do lectures, we do tape study, and every now and then we'll throw in some practice matches just to see and evaluate where the kids are at. And yeah, we work hard for the full 3 hours. That's for sure.
No, I love that. I mean, and if people wanted to know, where is your wrestling school or training school located at?
It's just outside Buffalo in Depew, New York. You could reach out to us on social media, Buffalo Wrestling Academy, BWA, on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And we're always accepting new students. There's no, you don't have to wait to enroll or anything like that, because we get the new guys started right alongside the more advanced guys. Not that they're doing the same things, but we do accept them at any given time, and we will work to their experience level.
No, absolutely. So that's what I tell my dad too, because my dad, we live in Pennsylvania. I'm like, a lot of times wrestlers will be like, oh, well, I don't ship like the stuff, like merch. So you have to like obviously be at a show. And I'm like, well, now I have to travel to that location just to get some merch. Now, in this case, be like, okay, well, we live in Pennsylvania. I got to travel all the way to New York just for training. I'll be happy with just one. It's fine.
Well, you come to training and you can get merch without traveling. Just go to prowrestlingtees.com.
Well, the merch is beneficial. Training, I know my dad is watching. So yeah, I'll be going to train. No, I'm just
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on. Guys, please, please, please click the link down below to give him a follow on Instagram. I'm sure from there you could find wherever else you want to follow him on. Uh, I will be back tomorrow for my birthday episode with MIT, which I am super excited for. I know I've been saying it, but I want to thank Robby, obviously. I want to thank Chris P for obviously making this week amazing. I want to thank all of you guys for all the support, and I will be back tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks for having me.